Jordan Miller.
Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to come before you today in the hopes of becoming a public servant for you, the residents of Forest Grove. My family has been in Forest Grove since 1932, so I'm very familiar with the values of our community. I understand how you want to see our city develop, and also how most of you are feeling about the current state of where we live. This entire process has been really eye-opening and has continued to inspire hope through disagreement. Through many conversations with residents, it's been made clear that most want the exact same thing. Now, the debate begins when the question is asked, how do we get there? And those conversations should be welcomed. As we approach these conversations in the months and years to come, you deserve transparent leadership who truly listens to your concerns and also has the focus and energy to care about your vision and passion about your community. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to sit before you today, and I look forward to engaging in this Q&A.
Jordan Miller.
I was inspired to run for city council from believing in one fundamental thing. You, the residents of Forest Grove. You deserve to not only know what is happening in our community, but why these decisions are being made and how they shape the future of our city. For too long, we've seen changes, both large and small, without clear communication from our city leadership. From day-to-day inconveniences like restricted pool hours to massive investments like multi-million-dollar walking trails or the addition of data centers. It feels like these decisions are made without fully involving or informing the people who are most affected. You. You deserve transparency. When changes happen, there should be a clear public explanation of why these decisions are made and how they align with the future vision of Forest Grove. Every resident should understand how today's actions move us closer to or farther from our long-term goals that benefit the entire community. That brings me to my second issue. Forest Grove lacks a clearly communicated long-term plan. Without a defined target, it's hard to know where we're headed as a community. I believe we need to develop and openly share a 10-year plan, a roadmap that provides clarity and direction for the city's future. This would give us something to measure against, allowing us to ask, do the decisions we make today bring us closer to achieving our long-term goals? As your representative, I will work to ensure that each council decision is not only thoughtful, but transparent, so that you always understand how it impacts your daily life and our city's vision for the future. Thank you. In the short term, addressing affordable housing and improving our schools need to be top priorities. Forest Grove faces rising housing costs, and we need to stop trying to build our way to affordable housing. Building new, smaller homes designed for older homeowners looking to downsize is an approach that we have failed to bring to reality. Think 1,200 square feet, plenty of backyard for space for a garden, 36-inch door frames, just to start. So when aging residents on fixed incomes have the ability to move into these types of properties, their homes then become available for families, helping alleviate the housing crunch. By providing new homeowners opportunities for sweat equity, total costs are reduced, since many things can be done through their own sweat. When you take pride in fixing something, it creates a stronger sense of community, and pride is built within our own neighborhoods. In our schools, reducing classroom sizes and listening to teachers' voices is essential to improving our education system. Our Forest Grove school system has been the burden of overcrowding for decades now. I remember not having a desk in 3 of my high school classes. And teachers are the backbone of our educational system, and they already understand what students need to thrive. Similar to our police department, if we don't have the budget to support them, the least we can do is stand beside them. Looking to the future, the vision is a more connected and engaged community. Extend the hours of businesses, community facilities offers more opportunities for residents to come together and participate in our local activities. There must be a better way to have a vibrant downtown than having paper covering our beautiful historic window boxes. Reducing the costs of public spaces like parks and recreation centers also ensures access for all. City leadership needs to be fostering stronger relationships, creating opportunities for residents to participate and take pride in their community. Whether someone is a longtime resident or new to the area, building a community where everyone feels engaged and supported is the key to the brighter future in Forest Grove over the next 10 years.
Jordan Miller.
Well, building bridges between myself and the community all starts with listening. Listening to stories, concerns, and ideas of the people of Forest Grove and Cornelius, which make them what they are. In my career in real estate, success did not come from being the best salesperson. It came from understanding the real challenges people faced, finding solutions, and guiding them through an ever-changing world. I believe City Council requires the same approach. For example, after visiting over 100 homes in our new construction neighborhoods off David Hill, I found almost every resident expressed desire for more small local business within their own community and neighborhood. Places like Jim and Donna's Coffee Shop, not large corporate chains. It's clear that people want to spend their money locally, knowing that they're supporting their neighbors and can keep their community thriving. In addition to the residents, I've spoken with many local businesses who shared their frustrations with the city's permit process. These are small business owners who want to make improvements, whether it's updating their storefronts or adding simple features like a cover to protect their employees from the rain. But they're held back by fees that are too high and the process is too complex. These are people that work hard to contribute to the beauty and vitality of our city, but they're often met with unnecessary obstacles. There needs to be clearer communication and a system that supports local business, making it easier for them to invest in our community. On the other end of the spectrum, I've met with plenty of aging residents, particularly on the streets of like Willamina and Hawthorne. They've lived in their home for decades. I wanted to understand why they chose to remain in their home, and many were choosing to not move. What I found is it's not out of personal attachment or financial gain on keeping their investment, but it's because there's not enough well-designed smaller homes with backyard space and accessibility like the 36-inch shoreways. These conversations are just the beginning though. Reaching out to residents, learning their struggles, working together to find real practical solutions is how I built my career, and it's exactly what I intend to do for you as city councilor.
Thank you very much. What do you see as the main barriers to less experienced or historically marginalized people to participate in or lead in Forest Grove's government? And what would you do to make this easier for us? Ed? So, first person, Jordan Miller.
Well, I think that it certainly could be promoted by working with other organizations, especially in the city of Cornelius, to partner and bring that relationship together with the community of marginalized groups. So I haven't really seen any outreach to those marginalized groups, whether it's from specific businesses or city leadership. I think that would be obviously the first place to start. I know that I believe Mr. Schimmel is familiar with those organizations as well. Really, I think that it's getting them involved. I think also it could start at the high school. I could start a lot earlier and encouraging kids to fill leadership roles. I'm sad I don't think that we have anybody from the high school here tonight that's involved in the process of this forum. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think having them involved throughout the process, and I mean, certainly I'm 32 years old. This is something that's brand new for me. But if I'd been around it more when I was 16, 17, 18, and was able to get actually familiar with the process and be able to form more relationships in the community and be able to have the goal of growing up someday and sitting in this position, I think that the place to start might be a little bit earlier before they get to the point of saying, all right, I already have multiple kids plus a full-time job, and now I'm looking for a leadership role. If we can get a little bit farther upstream with a lot of those individuals and catch them when they're in the phase of learning, when they're younger, I think that would certainly promote more opportunities in leadership positions in both of our cities.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and Jordan Miller.
Well, anytime I get upset about our water quality or feel like it's not great coming out of the sink, I take a trip to a different state that surrounds us, and I am abruptly surprised at how amazing our water is. So I think that we should at least acknowledge that we are starting from a space on our city is incredibly green when you look at many other places in the country, and we are doing a relatively good job given our population size and what we have going right now. I think everything comes at a cost, and that should be something that residents are involved in deciding. So if we talk about installing a bunch of electric chargers for electric cars or promoting electric use, inside the city, I think we need to remember the conversation that we just had last night of concerns about how much electric use we're bringing into our city. So we need to also be able to evaluate and have residents involved in, if we're going to be installing these things, what's the long-term cost of this infrastructure that we're putting in? And if it makes sense for all the residents here and it can move us closer to being more green and energy efficient, I am all for it. But we do need to know what the actual cost is of the things that we're installing, especially in this space. We don't want to end up like the Dalles, where they have a ton of windmills. It's wonderful, and they bury the blades after 20 years. We need to defend our water supply as well, being religious about that. Nearby towns, Yamhill, Carlton, they have water restrictions in the summertime where they can't water their yards. We have a huge blessing here with the water infrastructure that we have and the water system that we have. We need to defend that. I think the federal and state money is something that should absolutely be utilized. That's your taxpayer money. We need to work with the state and the federal government to be able to get as much of that back to our local community that we can. Personally, a small rant, I become extremely excited about e-bikes when I see them around the city. I think that people misusing them should be penalized. However, I encourage them, and the people that are active because of those things are great. So get out and ride an e-bike if you can.
Right, little plug for e-bikes.
Well, I would say the September 3rd meeting with the Planning Commission, where the data center came and testified. From that meeting, it was very clear that neither side necessarily knew exactly what they were doing or why they were doing it. The amount of incorrect information brought in that meeting from both sides was impressive. I'm not necessarily talking about council, but it was clear that the data center's plan had not been relayed to residents accurately. There were last minute changes, and I think that was something I really took away, showing that we need to have more open lines of communication to residents.
Thank you. Gordon Miller.
Well, I first want to thank you all for choosing to spend this evening with us, so thank you for coming out tonight. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with some very specific details that might not always be part of public conversations, but they should be. In Forest Grove, an affordable home would need to be priced at the maximum of $450,000 to be affordable by definition and have no property taxes. It's tough. But we're not having these hard conversations about affordability. We also have 1,631 veterans living in our city. These individuals serve their country, but right now, aside from the Legion, we have no dedicated groups, very limited public recognition, or substantial resources available for them. A few weeks ago, we had a veteran take his life in Fourscale Heights. As we look towards the future, one thing that does still concern me on Forest Grove is we do not have a clear and publicly available plan that spans about 10 years for our city's growth and development. It leaves us in a reactive position instead of building the future we want to see together. Lastly, let's talk about our fire department. Just 18 firefighters spread across 3 shifts ran 4,500 calls last year. Think about that. 18 people went on 4,500 calls, which were often the worst day of somebody's life. These are just a few realities that leadership needs to address with honesty and transparency. Today, I sit in front of you, but upon being elected, I look forward to standing beside you, working together to bring real change in Forest Grove. Thank you.
Thank you very much.